Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz on live stream STL. We're live from DeSoto High School in DeSoto, Missouri, home to the DeSoto Dragons. They're going to be taking on the Festus Tigers. Ray Halbrook, Tanner Hendrickson, and Brian Kaplinger with us here. Guys, it's going to be a fun one here with a big trip down here to DeSoto, and Festus playing pretty well. DeSoto still trying to find a little bit of identity. And
That's a great Festus Tigers team. They are explosive on offense. They force turnovers defensively, as we saw last week. They are a tough challenge here in this district in Class 4. So it's going to be fun to watch this Festus team. And as you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see what the answers are for DeSoto.
Well, every game on our schedule is a tough game for us. What we have to do tonight against a good Festus football team is minimize our mistakes and be fundamentally sound. They've got a lot more athleticism than we possess, and we have to counter that with just being just sound football players.
We need to just execute when it comes down to it. That's it. I mean, nothing special. We just need to get better at what we're doing week in and week out, and that's really what it comes down to.
And so he's their best tackler. He needs to show it tonight.
So they're going to run kind of a speed option now. Avery Edwards, the junior's got the edge. Edwards just got blocks. He's going to run into the end zone. Untouched for a Festus Tigers touchdown. And they go on the board first 6-0 as it's a quick, explosive drive as they try to kick the PAT to make it 7-0. Smith will take the snap. Now he's just going to run with it. He's going around the left side. He's got the edge. He's going towards the pylon. He dives and he's into the end zone for a touchdown for the Festus Tigers. It's a 12-yard rushing touchdown for the quarterback, Essen Smith. That is his second rushing touchdown of the season. It's either him or Colton Fisher. The snap, they're going to hand this one off, running around this near side. Now banking off one tackler, cutting back towards the middle with the football. That's Edwards. Edwards goes all the way around, reverses sides. He's down the sideline. He may have the house calling for him. He gets the last block that he needs. This is going to be a 93-yard rushing touchdown for the junior running back, Avery Edwards, as he came to the near side, reversed fields, and goes down the far sideline for a Festus Tigers touchdown. Smith is at quarterback, takes the snap. He's going to keep it on the read option. Now he sprints through the middle. He's been shot out of a cannon. There he goes to the 30, the 20, the 10, and Smith with a long rushing touchdown, 63 yards into the end zone, and it's 26-0. Festus Tigers on top. So ball's right around that 1-2 yard line. They get back to the line quickly. They hand it off to Williams. Williams up the middle, lowers the shoulder, and he's into the end zone for a Festus Tigers touchdown. Williams, the sophomore, punches in his second of the season, and he makes it 33-0 Festus. And really for them, it's been kind of advertised. They are a very explosive bunch on offense. Defensively, they're flying to the football as they held to just 33 total yards in that first half, and they had 360 offensive yards. And I'll turn over to my partner, Brian Kaplinger. And Brian, I mean, we talked about it. That offense for Festus, they run the football, and they're doing it very effectively tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you said, as advertised. They have definitely come out just wanting to pound the ball down the field. And I think Smith especially has had a great night for them. Backs have looked extremely well for Festus, and just the way that they're moving the ball, commanding the offense.
As we see them line up, as we see Bates back into the running back there. Bates with the handoff. Bates untouched into the end zone as that's going to be a 12-yard rushing touchdown for the Festus Tigers as they increase their lead to 40-0 here in the third quarter. As this one is sent away. Running underneath this as here comes DeSoto. That was fielded just inside the 20. There's a hole up the middle. Breaking free. DeSoto's got one man to beat. A flag came flying in, I believe. DeSoto cutting towards the middle. Drag down inside the 25. How about Colton Fisher on that kickoff return? A huge hole up the middle. And that will close out this one as the Festus Tigers win this one big over the DeSoto Dragons. 41-0 here on Friday Night Blitz on live stream STL.
hello and welcome again to Ray Halbrook with live stream STL. Hope everybody's having a great day today. We have again on the panel here Mr. Matt Bates and Mr. Jeff Whitener. Gentlemen, how's it going? How you doing, Matt?
Fabulous. Great day to talk football.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at week 4 results here, and we'll do these by threes. We'll talk about our games that we covered this week here. Festus 41, DeSoto nothing. Windsor 51, DeBurgh 14, and Perryville 62, Bayless 7. And you can kind of see in here a little bit of a trend for most of these games, guys, and a lot of blowouts going on, and kind of interesting games there, guys. We'll start with Matt.
Yeah, you only had 4 games that were decided by 28 points or less, and Festus DeSoto, the 41-0. You got to look at just bright spot in the area. Eli Tebow on a team, that they get a shutout. They only had 54 yards of total offense. That said, Tebow was 25 rushes, 89 yards. The rest of the team was 12 rushes minus 35, so they had 37 rushes for 54 yards collectively as a team, 0 for 2 passing. So 54 total yards. DeSoto's got some work to do, but keep chugging. They're 1-3. Festus, I think that was just a solid team win for them, and they will roll along, as they come here to next week and have a tougher battle on their hands. The Perryville Bayless game kind of summed it up. It is what it is. But I'd let Jeff, if he's got any info, before we get on to the Windsor DeBurgh game that we covered.
Well, I was able to watch several of the games, both live and recorded. Now, the Festus DeSoto game, I will say this for DeSoto, and I agree with some of the other pundits in the county in the fact that DeSoto did lose the game 41-0. They were definitely outclassed by Festus. However, a lot of the things that I've seen in the first few weeks, a lot of the sloppy play, there were less overs, less really silly penalties, I thought. So I thought they played a much cleaner game, and I think that's something that they can build on as they move forward. The Perryville Bayless game, fellas, Perryville just too strong up front for Bayless. They're the one thing Perryville has, and if it's any kind of advantage at all, as a 2-2 team in the I-55 conferences, they've got some big, strong O and D linemen, and they were a huge difference in that game against Bayless.
Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz on Livestream STL, and we are live from Windsor High School, home to the Windsor Owls. Our matchup tonight is between the 1-2 DeBurgh Cavaliers and the 1-2 Windsor Owls. Good evening, Matt Bates, Austin Reardon, and producer Eli Yunt in the house tonight. All the Windsor Owls, they come in only scoring 14 points in 3 games. And they've given up a plus-minus of -60, where DeBurgh coming into tonight, they've scored 106 and have given up 132 with only a 26-point differential.
Depth is always concerned. We got we're developing depth in our program. They're similar to DeSoto in ways they're a much bigger than school we are, a bigger school than us, even with the co-op. So we got bigger athletes, a little bit faster athletes, a lot different than what we've, faced in the last couple of weeks. But, if we can control the run defensively a little bit, that's going to help us out a lot. They have a very, very potent rushing attack.
Well, they got some speed. So, our job is going to be to bottle them up on defense. And then we've everybody game plans for what we think they're going to do. They might come out and something totally different as far as their defense is concerned. But like I mentioned earlier, if we take care of the ball, we run our offense, we're patient, we're going to score some points this week.
Inside handoff, and it looks like that will be a Windsor touchdown. That was number 8, A.J. Patrick.
Some more misdirection in the backfield, and Windsor showing up, making a statement early. We're going to take care of this football, and we're going to pound it in. Come stop us. Maybe playing a spy in the middle of the field to help with that containment. We'll see what he can do with the arm today.
Ball on the 29. Masters wrapped up. Went to throw it, but the ball's picked up by Colin Carter. Not sure if they're going to call that a forward pass, but nobody threw a flag or blew the play down. That could be a 29-yard return. Fumbled. fumbled the kickoff, and that's an end around to number 3, Willie Coleman. He goes in from 8 yards out. Patterson back again under center. Pitch out. Rocking and rolling to number 2. That is Lawrence Heffley. That is a 29-yard run on 1st and 10 for Lawrence. Every snap where he's going to drop back. There's a pass out to A.J. Patrick in the flat. Shakes one, and that is to the end zone for a Windsor touchdown.
Pass complete to number 13, Luke Patterson.
Yeah, and I think the bird there, they finally said it, right? I'm going to put everybody in the box. And a quick little slip out by the wide receiver, easy pass.
That is Cam Hall down here in front of us. There's an end around. That's Keenan. He's going to zip all the way through, and nobody's going to catch Cam Hall on a 93-yard end around run.
Touchdown, Cavaliers.
And that will break the shutout as touchdown silenced the crowd from 93 yards away.
Something good going here in the second half. Started off right. You went back and forth now. You get the turnover. See if you can cash one in here.
Snap back to Masters. They read that all the way. This is a pick 6. 69 yards. They've ran that play over and over, and Colin Carter, 69-yard pick 6.
In week 3.
And being up by 35, we have the roll going now, and there's a little flip back to number 2, Lawrence Heffley. He goes in a 12-yard end-around run. It's kind of like a makeshift flea flicker, if you will, because I know they were on quarterback number 3 with Mattingly. Here's Masters. He rolls out, puts his head down, goes to the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. 7-yard TD run for Jack Masters. Talk about tonight's game in the final 35 seconds here, Austin. What did you see from the Windsor Owls tonight that you didn't see in week 1?
Yeah, I think week 1, right? It was week 1, just like any other football team. Not a lot of continuity throughout. They weren't really finding themselves. It took them the entire football game to score. They finally did win that one, right? They scored the touchdown in the 4th quarter after 3 long scoreless quarters against Herculaneum, and they ended up winning because ultimately they kicked the BAT and Herculaneum didn't. But I would be the first to tell you, and I think Windsor's coaching staff and team would tell you that they weren't proud probably of that first week. Although they got the win, there was a lot of things they needed to clean up, and you saw the cleanup tonight here in week 3.
Hey, we're catching up here with Coach Jeff Funston from the Windsor Owls. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well tonight. How are you?
Good. Hey, big 51-14 win over DeBerg Friday night. The Owls were flying high, let's just put it that way, on offense and defense. So Take us through the game. Tell us a little bit about how things went.
Well, it was it was good that we got an opportunity to come out and on the first drive of the night, marched 6, 7, 8 plays, whatever that was, and then we're able to put a score in early. After that, defense kind of took over, like you mentioned there a minute ago. Defense flying high. That's a challenge we put out to our defense all year long. That we want to get after people, play fast, fly to the football. No pun intended, being the Windsor Owls. But we do want to attack people and be relentless to the football at all times. And I guess maybe on the second or third play from scrimmage for DeBerg, Colin Carter, who had a big night, got the sack, the strip, the recovery, and the return for the touchdown, and put us up 14-0. So having him kind of getting after it a little bit, he had a big night. Once we got a 14-0, we first onside of the year, we had an onside kick that popped right up to Logan Wilson, and then we were able to take that ball down and score on that as well to go up 21-0. It was 21-0 before the game really even started. it was a good night. And again, getting off to that fast start was something that we've talked about for a long time, because there's times where it seems like it's, and this has been a year or two now, but it's 13-0 before we really decide to start playing football. Herky took us till late in the fourth quarter before we scored. Perryville never really got on track. Festus took us a while to do anything, and it was late in the game and we finally put one in there. But this one to have a night where we could come out and we could get after it right off the bat. That's it. Way you want to start any football game.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about maybe the identity, maybe coming together here a little bit. You've had 2 good games. You've had 2 not so good games, but you're starting to see a little bit of the identity with the team.
Yeah, we installed the flex bone option offense over the summertime. We'd been spread. We'd done some option things, and some of the guys had done the true option under center. Midline veer, outside veer. They had done that in junior owls, things like that. So it's not something that's foreign to them, but they hadn't run at this level yet. And right now, I tell you what, this past week we changed the way we practiced. We installed some things. We tweaked some things about how we did it in order to really make sure that we were firing on all cylinders when it came to Friday night. And we're going to continue those things coming up against DeSoto for homecoming this week as well.
Excellent. You're pushing my my segue right now into the DeSoto game here. So DeSoto comes up here this week, and what do we have in store?
Well, it's first things first. It's homecoming, so the first thing to talk about is eliminate distractions. Have a good time, but at the same time, that was our message this afternoon at practice was take care of the game first. After we take care of the game, then you can go enjoy the bonfire, the parade, and all that kind of stuff. Just once we cross the lines, we need to be focused on Windsor football and getting Windsor football better so that we can take care of DeSoto on Friday night. So that's really been the message this week. And then as far as, what's in store, better. We make sure we do need to clean up a little bit of our blocking assignments. We really kind of slowed down the turnovers, which plagued Herky. It plagued us at Perryville as well. So we really slowed down. I think we were this past week as far as turnovers were concerned. So, you do those types of things and you slow down on the penalties, which, again, were hurting us early in the year. Then, we start turning that corner of starting to get better as a football team as opposed to shooting ourselves in the foot and making, kind of beating ourselves a little bit at times.
Well, great win this week, and good to catch up with you, and good luck next week.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you on Friday night.
There you go. We'll see you. Jeff Funston from the Windsor Owls.
I'm going to you had the call.
This was a game where, as we always say, on paper, you see one thing. When you get to the field and you see the players play, you get a whole different picture. Coming into the game, Windsor had only scored 2 touchdowns all season, 12 points offensively. So DeBerg, coming off a big 64-24 win against Afton after throwing up 590 yards of offense, this on paper was just setting up to be more than just a simple walkthrough maybe on the Windsor side to get the win. Down there on the field before the game, making sure I've got rosters and players in the right spot, and I know that Ray had already done the interview ahead of time, and I told Coach Funston, I said, I'm not going to, do much of an interview. I said, but let's just chat as we go through here. And I said, what were your thoughts after you saw the DeBerg 590 yards? And he was like, I just think we need to just work on how we figure out how we control the ball. We control our own destiny. And I got to tell you, when you look at the first set of plays from the opening kickoff and how they turned out, the opening kickoff was returned to the Windsor to the DeBerg 45-yard line. A.J. Patrick, they go down, 2-point conversion, 8-0. Next kickoff, DeBerg, couple plays, Colin Carter, 29-yard fumble return. The next kickoff was an onside kick. Windsor gets the ball to DeBerg 45. They go down, they score. DeBerg only had the ball 3 times in the first half. And twice it was because Colin Carter took and returned a fumble. And then there was a Logan Wilson fumble recovery, and then in the third quarter, there's a pick six from Colin Carter as well too. I'm telling you right now, the game plan that Coach Funston had going in there from that high-powered DeBerg offense.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they did is DeBerg wasn't able to get any momentum because as soon as they got the ball, they were either punting or turning it over. And they were just kind of like disrupting them themselves without really Windsor having to do anything. But then once Windsor took his masters, when he'd go back to pass, and even though he threw 300 yards miraculously, it seemed like he was under duress most of the night. And even when he wasn't, he was getting the happy feet because he'd been under pressure so much anyway. And his numbers, even though he's the only quarterback in the area with 1,000 yards, there was an end around that Keenan Thomas ran for 93 yards. They gave Masters that credit as a pass, that there must have been about a millimeter of space in between the ball and Keenan Thomas's hands. So, but great job by Coach and his just overall play calling and the ability to keep the ball like he wanted to stick to his guns.
Hey, it's time for our Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and our Player of the Week this week is a defense player. Normally we have a lot of offensive players, but it is Colin Carter from the Windsor Owls. How you doing, Colin?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, big win over DeBerg this week.
Yeah, really big.
A lot of defensive plays, fumbles. You had one amazing interception for a pick six. Take us through this this week and what that was like for your defense.
Well, our defense, we mainly just worked on our scheme, and we put their defense out and just repped it, and that's basically all we did. That's all we could do, and just playing, I don't know, just reps. That's mainly it.
Sometimes that's all it takes is reps, right?
Yep, reps and just talking through it, and it's how it goes.
Hard work pays off. There it is. I know Coach Jeff Funston pretty well. We went to school together, and he's pretty proud of you guys. And so take us through maybe this week and the last 4 games you guys have had. You've had a couple of really good games, not so good games, but what's that been like in the locker room for so say like your seniors? What's that been like this year?
It's been good, really. Just taking new approaches and talking and trying to communicate and really figure out what we're gonna do and what we can do. It's mainly it, really. I mean, this week is a big week. It's homecoming week, so we got a lot to clean up and look forward to, and I'm excited. I think we should be good game.
Awesome. Give us a shout out. I'm going to give you to a player, a parent, or a coach.
Shout out to my parents, of course, my grandparents, and then Coach Bransler. He was a big part of that. He said, if you see a screen, just full sprint it, and next thing you know, I got a pick. So
well, there you go. That worked very, very well. And again, congratulations for being on Player of the Week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
That is Colin Carter from the Windsor Owls.
Ruther Ford is the place to shop for your next vehicle. We have a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, and they're all priced to sell. Not in the market for a new car? I-55, the Herculean Auto Mall.
Moving on here, Seckman 48, Melville 7, Hillsboro 48, North County nothing, St. Vincent 40, and Herculaneum nothing. Again, a lot of blowouts there, guys. And we'll start with Jeff this time.
Well, you just mentioned 3 guys from 3 teams that are sort of juggernauts in their respective conferences. Of course, you got the big suburban team right now with Seckman, and they look like they have not lost a step at all from last year's big season that they had. But, what I found interesting in those 3 games, Hillsboro did what they had to do. A very workmanlike effort from them as well. The St. Vincent Herculaneum game kind of surprised me that Herculaneum, although they have been fighting through the injuries, weren't able to put up a little better battle against St. Vincent. The Indians love to run that, and I really would have thought they would have been able to contain them better with some of the speed in their secondary, but was all for naught there. Herky only had 49 yards of total offense on the night, so it was really the Indians' defense that was the difference maker, all back into their offense's hands as often as they did. The only bright spot, Herky, Demian Light, 10 solo tackles in that game. But, we look at Hillsborough, 48-0, 272 yards rushing using 8 different players, guys. Preston Brown, Preston Brown, 10 for 16, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Seckman, again, their defense, rock solid, the second best defense in Jefferson County right now, only giving up 8.75 points per game. So another great defensive effort. We talk about the offensive scores, but it's the defenses that are getting those 3 and outs and getting those offensive teams back on the field.
Jeff, I totally agree with everything. When I'm looking at the 49 total yards put up by Herculaneum, they're scoreless in the last 8.5 quarters. Demian Light, yes, with the 10 tackles. The only other bright spot, Anthony Galena, 2 returns for a total of 96 yards. So, Coach Boss over there, he is more than fit to be tied. And as he has said, he has never seen anything like this. And I can only imagine what it's like being either in a Black Cat uniform or being a fan right now and having to go through this. The Seckman-Melville game, funny thing was, really the only thing, was Coach Bear's comment after the game, and I quote, "I cannot remember if or when a quarterback had more passing than rushing yards at Seckman in any of my tenure here as Gabar." Carried the ball 14 times, 75 yards, had 2 rushing TDs, was 6 of 7 passing for 112 yards with a TD and a pass. And Melville, God love them, they had 126 yards of collective offense and were down 42-0 at the half. But as you were talking about Hillsborough and their ground game with the 8 different backs, Windsor had 8 different backs as well too. But they had 48 rushes for 316 yards. You look at Hillsborough, they just break off chunks. That 17 rushes for 246 yards. When you're running the ball 15 yards a pop, that is putting some serious green turf between you and the next play.
Yeah,
they're a machine, no doubt, Matt.
All right, let's move on. We have Jefferson 28, St. Pius 18, Lafayette 63, Northwest 13, and Crystal City 54, Confluence 26. Matthew.
Well, I'll keep everything I have short and sweet. Lafayette over Northwest. Lafayette, when you see the score, you would think it'd be rather lopsided. Lafayette only had 374 yards of total offense. Northwest had 223 yards rushing, but only 31 yards passing, and just was a tough day at the office for the 0-4 Northwest Lions. Crystal City Confluence. Crystal City goes to 3-1. Boy, you talk about the running package that just won't stop. 54 carries, collected 446 yards, and along with the passing, they racked up 502 total yards of offense. Bolton, 12 carries, 190 yards, 4 TDs, 15.8 average. Talk about a heck of a day at the office. Cam Mays, 1 carry, 63 yards. Rafferty, 18 for 87. And Schamberg, 21 for 108. Through 4 weeks, Bolton, 34 carries, 569 yards. That's good enough for 8th in the area and a 16.7 clip. So, really the only comp really in the county to anybody not wearing a Hillsborough Hawk outfit would be Bolton and the numbers that he's putting up for the Crystal City side. I would talk about Jefferson St. Pius, but you know what the first 4 letters in Jefferson are? Jeff. Jeff, let you start, and I'll just finish off any comments that you might have after the Jefferson Pius game, which, by the way, was probably one of the biggest games in the area.
Yeah, definitely the best game of the most competitive game of the week for sure, Matt. But let me briefly. You want to talk about these other two games, Lafayette Northwest. I think the key there, when you talk about the amount of yards that both teams had back and forth, and Lafayette really didn't dominate in that category. The big key though was Northwest with 4 fumbles in that game, and they were pretty critical fumbles that basically handed some scores to Lafayette in that one. The other game, Crystal City game with Confluence. Now, a lot of the fans that I spoke to, and I didn't see the game, but a lot of fans that I spoke to said that game was actually closer than the score indicated in that game. And Crystal City was fortunate to come out with a large margin of victory like that. So haven't been able to see the film on that. But my question to you guys before we get into the Jefferson game really is Camden Bolton the fastest athlete in the county right now? Because some of these runs he's ripping off are just things of beauty.
Yeah, I think so. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I would like to see the kid up front and in person before I make that claim, because I've seen Keenan Thomas from DeBerg out of the backfield and his track stature. But I mean, I guess if you want to bring it,
As I thought.